All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on maybe the most important piece of software on any device you own your phone, your laptop, you name it. We're talking about the operating system. It's kind of like the invisible brain that makes everything else work.
So think about it for a sec. You do this all the time, right? You double click an icon and poof, a program just opens up. But how? I mean, what's actually happening in that split second between your click and the application appearing on screen? It feels like magic, but it's not. It's actually something way cooler.
And the answer, of course, is the operating system, or just the OS. This is the big boss, the master program. It's literally the one piece of software that's always running, from the second you power up to the moment you shut down. Its entire job is to be the manager for every single piece of hardware and software on your computer.
A great way to think about it is like this. The OS is the foundation of a house. All your apps, your web browser, your games, Spotify, they're all the rooms built on top of that foundation. And without that solid foundation, well, nothing else would even be able to stand.
So what does this foundation actually do all day? Well, the OS is the ultimate multitasker. It's constantly juggling 5 huge jobs just to keep your digital world running without a hitch. Let's break down what those jobs are.
Okay, so here's the never-ending to-do list for any OS. First, it's a resource manager. It has to decide which program gets to use the processor, or the keyboard, or the printer, and when. Next, it's a process manager. It's like an air traffic controller, scheduling every little task to make sure they don't crash into each other. Then you've got memory management for all the stuff that's actively running, and storage management for everything saved on your hard drive. And on top of all that, it's also your security guard, handling things like passwords and permissions. It's a busy job.
And let's just pause on these two for a second, because this is where people sometimes get mixed up. Think of memory management, or RAM, as your desk. It's where you put the stuff you're working on right now. It's fast, but it's temporary. Storage management, for your hard drive, that's more like your filing cabinet. It's for long-term storage where you keep everything you're not currently using. The OS is constantly moving things between that desk and the filing cabinet, and doing it so seamlessly you never even notice. Okay, so we've got a handle on what an OS does. Now, let's meet the big 3, the modern titans you're almost definitely using every single day. And here they are. You've got Microsoft's Windows, which is kind of the jack of all trades. It's known for being able to run on almost any hardware and work with pretty much any software out there. Then, of course, there's Apple's Mac OS, famous for that super sleek design and how beautifully it works with other Apple devices. And finally, you have Linux. It's the open source powerhouse. Built by a huge community, it's incredibly flexible, which is why developers and serious tech fans absolutely love it. At the end of the day, they're all just different approaches to solving the exact same problems. But, these modern systems didn't just pop up out of thin air. They're actually standing on the shoulders of giants. Earlier, more specialized systems that were each designed to solve a very specific problem. So, let's take a quick look back and see how we got here. So, first up were batch operating systems. The best way to think about this is, imagine you have a ton of different chores to do. It's way more efficient to do all the laundry at once than do all the dishes at once, right? That's exactly what a batch OS did. A human operator would literally collect a batch of similar jobs, like processing a whole company's payroll, and feed them to the computer to run one after the other. There was no interacting with it, it was just pure heads-down number crunching. And then came a massive leap forward. The time-sharing OS. This is really the direct ancestor of what you're using at this very moment. The computer basically became a master juggler. It would give each user a tiny, tiny slice of its attention, a little sliver of time called a quantum, and it would switch between all the users so fast that it created this perfect illusion that everyone was getting the computer's full attention at the same time. The benefits here were just huge. All of a sudden, one really expensive computer could be shared by a whole team. People could work at the same time, which sent productivity through the roof. And for the first time, using a computer actually felt responsive and interactive. But maybe the biggest win was that the expensive processor was almost never just sitting around doing nothing. It was always busy. Which brings us much closer to today with a distributed OS. Now, think of this one as the ultimate team player. It cleverly connects a whole bunch of separate computers over a network and makes them all act like one giant, powerful system. With a distributed OS, you can grab a file from one computer or use a printer connected to another as if they were right there with you.
This is basically the magic that makes things like cloud computing possible. So after all that, why does any of this really matter? Why should you care? Because at the end of the day, the operating system is that silent, totally essential bridge that connects you, your simple clicks and commands, to the incredibly complex logic of your machine.
You know, this quote really just says it all. The whole point, the entire incredibly complex job of an operating system, really boils down to just one thing: making the computer easy and convenient for you to use. All of that insane complexity exists for the sole purpose of creating simplicity for us, the users.
And that's really the magic, isn't it? Every single time you open an app or save a file, your OS is the unsung hero doing all the hard work in the background. It's the universal translator, turning your simple actions into the billions of calculations the hardware needs to perform. It is, without a doubt, the most important piece of software you own.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. We started with systems that could only run one batch of jobs at a time, and now we live in a world of globally connected networks. But as everything in our lives gets smarter and more interconnected, our cars, our homes, even our coffee makers, what new challenges is that going to create? What's the next great operating system going to have to do to keep our ever more complex world running smoothly? It's definitely something to think about.